Today, I'm going to teach you ways in which you can make your home look expensive on a budget. Now, when we talk about expensive, we should probably clarify what we mean by the word. The word expensive means to cost a lot of money. But when someone says this home looks expensive, usually what they're trying to say is this home feels luxurious, and that does not have to cost a lot of money. The reason I'm mentioning this is so that you understand our foundational goal is to create an atmosphere that is both pleasing and comfortable in such a way that people believe it must cost a lot of money. Think of it as a magic trick. The first thing you're going to want to do is consider moving over to minimalism. There's two reasons that come to mind which make this work. The first is that we, as humans, seem to visually appreciate balance, harmony, and symmetry. The more stuff you add into a room, the less likely you are to achieve any three of those traits. So your best bet, and the way to put the odds in your favor, would be to minimize the amount of items that you have in a room. Try sticking to only a handful of main items within any single room. The other reason is that you may, in fact, have a couple of items that are more expensive and possibly nicer than the others in the room. In order for those pieces to have the impact that led you to buying them in the first place, they need to have breathing room and space which allows them to receive the attention they deserve. A clutter of items surrounding these pieces would distract someone from acknowledging how great the pieces actually are. Secondly, take a look at the color palette in your room, or create one if you need to create one, and make sure that it's consistent. Pick either soft neutrals or go with bold color. Consistency in color helps create the harmony which I mentioned earlier. It also helps with picking out future decorations or additions, because all you'll have to do is stay within your color palette. What I have found personally is that creating a room of soft neutrals can be more easily done than creating a room of bold color, without it turning tacky. However, if you feel comfortable with it and you're willing to take on the creative challenge, a room using bold colors can turn out incredible. The next thing you might want to consider is adding molding for architectural detail. The purpose of design additions like crown molding, panel molds, box frames, or baseboards is to add an element of interest to an otherwise very dull object, which is a wall. When children used to get in trouble and teachers would send them to the corner of the room to stare at the wall, it wasn't because it was exciting. And I'm here to tell you that as you get older, staring at a wall becomes no more exciting. Decorative millwork and molding adds both depth and scale to interior walls. It can take a small space and make it feel as though it is large. It can take a boring space and make it interesting. Here's one of the largest impacts of molding within a home that we may not consciously think about, but we certainly subconsciously think about it. And that is, our culture views certain artworks and design features of the past, ones that make us reminisce, as being highly valuable. If you walk into a room and in the corner of that room is a table, and that table has the sculpture of a Greek statue's head, you immediately think, this is expensive. But the fact is that now you can buy those sculptures for $50 to $100 online. It is the mere memory that our culture holds of 100 years ago, where only the rich and wealthy would have such a sculpture, that it must cost thousands of dollars. It is the same with decorative molding, a design feature previously reserved for the old Victorian style homes that could only be afforded by the rich. Now, you can buy 10 feet of it for $20 at Home Depot. Next is going to be updating or upgrading your lighting fixtures. A lighting fixture by itself can make or break a room. You have to change how you look at lighting fixtures, from looking at them as a simple utility tool to looking at them as a decorative statement piece for the room. It becomes even more important if it's a chandelier-styled light which hangs from the ceiling into your line of vision. It's impossible not to notice. So make sure it's something intriguing that puts the room's best foot forward. Accessories are taking the home decor path and making your home look more expensive, even though you're not actually changing the home itself. Throws, pillows, area rugs, plants, these are all options. None of them are actually expensive, but it is because they create the image of good taste that leads people to feeling as though they are in a luxurious space. This next one is an easy one that doesn't require so much explanation, and that is upgrading your cabinetry hardware. Let's take your kitchen, for instance, and say that you have 15 cabinets. A nice new modern cabinet hardware piece can be found for about $2. So if you are to replace all of that, you can do a big upgrade to your kitchen and really help out the look for only $30. The last suggestion I have for you on this list today is one that might cost a little bit of money, but it's much cheaper than the alternative to create the same feeling of how expensive a room is. And that is adding a touch of high-end material. Accents of materials can make a big impact on someone's overall perception of a room. If you were looking at updating a bathroom, for example, the floor and the ceiling would not need to be covered in marble for the bathroom to look expensive. You could simply change the vanity countertop, a nicer or more attractive material. A great example of this would be to relate it to someone's attire. Imagine seeing a person who has on normal jeans, a plain white t-shirt, and basic tennis shoes. When you looked at them, your initial impression would probably be that they're financially very average, maybe below average. You probably wouldn't think that they're financially above average. But take that same person and that same attire, and now let's add a $5,000 watch to their wrist. Well, now everything has changed. There would be no need for that person to have on designer jeans or a designer shirt or expensive sunglasses for you to believe that they were financially well off. The one piece that they have on their wrist would speak for the rest of their outfit. One piece in a room can speak for the rest of the room. This idea does bring up a good point though. There are times when you put a high-end material in a space and it makes everything else look outdated and terrible. If that's the case, you may need to update a few things, but that doesn't mean it needs to be expensive. Return to the goal of having a minimalistic and clean look. Home Depot sells so many materials now that are very inexpensive and can make a space look great, as long as you complement the colors well. A single touch of high-end material on top of this will really set the tone for the room. So there you have it. Now you have 7 tips that you can probably incorporate relatively easily that will help you make your house look more expensive and feel more luxurious.